Final Fantasy II. Woo! What an adventure. Ugh. Despite all the heartache, the tech issues, it's all been an adventure. An adventure worth it. Final Fantasy II has been pegged as polarized by the Final Fantasy fanbase. I knew this going in. Of course, I'm going to talk about the NES version. The battles were challenging. The fights were always an adventure, that's for sure. Story? It was okay for its time. I mean, I wouldn't say the best story out of the series, but it was okay for its time. I mean, you gotta understand, this was a time where you couldn't really expect a major story in a game. I mean, I guess you could, but, you know, it was the early days of gaming. So I was willing to give it a little bit of a pass. I do think the characters, some of them didn't really get enough screen time or story that I wish to get to know more. Like Joseph, for example, I didn't feel much of his death. Because, well, yeah. And like a character like Minwu, where I felt something. Because, yeah. I'll give the story a 7. A 7 out of 10. Graphics for NES, what can you really say? I'm not gonna judge the graphics. I mean, that's not fair. In fact, you know what? The graphics get a 10 out of 10 for its time. The music was great, as usual. Like Mysidia Tower, just incredible. I give the music, though, an 8 out of 10. Only reason why is that there are some songs that kind of meh, but there are also songs like The Final Dungeon, Mysidia Tower, that were flat out amazing and beautiful. Now, let's get to the bits that, yeah. The battle system. Ooh boy. I don't mind a challenge, but man, it was a grind. There are a few times, especially in the beginning, that I had a bit of trouble. I mean, I'm all for growth systems. They're pretty fun, but they didn't do it too well, especially in the NES. Bugs, decreasing levels. If you wanted to have a mage, but then you decide to train him in attack, and that stat goes down. So the battle mechanics, unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to give a 4 out of 10. Not the worst I've ever played with battle mechanics, but not the best. Let's see here. What else can I review on? Well, I think that's about it. Now I know, the battle system was approved upon in the GBA version, but overall, it's not the worst I've played. I mean, I can understand why it's a black sheep, but the worst Final Fantasy? No, it's not, at least for me. In fact, I really enjoyed Final Fantasy II, despite its flaws. I enjoyed it. I'll give it overall score a 7 out of 10. Not the best, not the worst. Well, although some of the boss battles were kind of unfair. Maybe not a 7 out of 10. Maybe a 6 out of 10. Yeah, that would be my final score for Final Fantasy 2. This has been Abyss Lover 91, signing off. Bye, and farewell.